The first question you're going to have is, are Lyle and Eric Menendez innocent? The answer is no. Well, are they guilty? No. Well, technically yes, but not really. And the next question you should have is, what the hell are you talking about? Let me explain this legally, and maybe this explains to you why I hate the possibility of there ever being the death penalty in a system that does this. First and foremost, did these brothers kill their mother and father? I think, yeah. I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think it was somebody else. The evidence seems to be pretty clear. They did it. And that's the end of it, right? Is that it? Well, not really. Well, what do you mean not really? Well, the issue is, did they form the intent, the specific intent to commit first-degree murder, the deliberate and intentional killing of another human being with malice aforethought, knowing what you are doing because you want them dead? Are there any reasons? Are there any defenses? Are there any moments of diminished capacity or insanity? That's the issue. And the question is, well, what's insanity? Here we go. Under our system, we have a doctrine called the McNaughton Rule. And the McNaughton Rule says, if a defendant, if you can show, if a jury believes, there's evidence, that a defendant charged with, let's say, a crime, murder in particular, did not know the difference between right and wrong, they may be available for a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity. NGRI. Insanity. Does that mean they're insane? No. Do you need a clinical definition of insanity? No. And even if you are clinically insane, did you know the difference between right and wrong? And the answer is yes, they did. Did they conceal the fact? Did they plan this accordingly? If they didn't know the difference between right and wrong, why didn't they just kill their parents whenever they wanted to? People know not that it's right or wrong, but they know that it's against the law. And it's against the law is not the same as, do you know the difference between right and wrong? Let's assume you are in a psychotic fugue and you believe you are placed on another planet and you are a victim of a totalitarian regime that is holding you against your will and whatever. And you know that in order for you to escape, to save the world, you've got to kill these people. But there's a law. There's a law in this world that you inhabit that prohibits this particular behavior. And the bad guys will catch you, much like the enemy will catch you. So you conceal your desires, you plan, you're furtive, you lie in wait, you run from the police, not because you recognize that what you've done is incorrect, but that you're going to be caught. Here's another one. Actually happened. Crazy guy pushes a woman in front of a subway car. When asked, did you know it was wrong? He says, well, yes, I knew it was against the law. Why'd you do it? Because the voices told me. That doesn't apply. The McNaughton Rule is stupid. It's like, yeah, of course they know the difference between right and wrong. But what do you mean right and wrong? Right and wrong because this is morally incorrect, or right and wrong because the rules prohibit me from defending myself? Now, as a matter of fact, I believe there are certain things, there are certain situations, call it PTSD, call it whatever you would like, that allow a person to be acquitted, to be in essence not guilty or found not guilty because of the degree of relentless, systematic brutality that is exacted against them. You will hear this oftentimes, or have heard about it. A woman is beaten. A woman is psychologically tormented, beaten, humiliated, mocked, perhaps raped, perhaps whatever. And she doesn't leave. See, that's another thing. Could the Menendez brothers have left? Yeah. Were they infants? No. Could they have left? Do they have a duty to retreat, kind of like the retreat doctrine? So there's all these kind of mitigating factors. But the classic one is this. Woman's at home one night. She sees her husband. He's sitting on his Barca lounger watching the game. The man who's beaten her, raped her, attacked her, humiliated her. The man that has stripped her of all dignity. A man that she hates more than life itself by virtue of years and years of systematic torture and torment. And he's paying the bills and he's the father. And then one night, not when they're arguing, but when it's quiet, she's thinking to herself, she says, you know what, now's the time. And she goes into the bedroom, gets his revolver, goes in and shoots him in the back of the head and kills him. Now, you can call that the abused spouse syndrome. You can call that learned helplessness. Do I believe this exonerates her? Yes. Can you prove it? It's up to you. Do I think that applies in all cases? No. How about the girl who, let's say, has been sexually abused or trafficked, and one day she kills her pimp? She's just had enough of it. She could have left. She could have gotten away, but she's had enough. It's a form of the ultimate terms of controlling the situation. Does the insanity defense work? No, because she knew the right from wrong. She's not. I don't know when the insanity defense even works. What are you supposed to be walking around in a fugue? You're sleepwalking. You're a somnambulist. I don't know. It's a stupid defense. I understand the way it's supposed to be worked, but the way the McNaughton rule is, there are other versions of it. Irresistible impulse, diminished capacity, kind of easier to meet. That's one of the reasons why John Hinckley was acquitted, because he was in the D.C. circuit, and the D.C. circuit had either the Durham rule or the ALI-ABA, or they had the easiest. In fact, they, across the board, changed and revamped the insanity defense afterwards, because they had a very, very, very easy burden to overcome in the District of Columbia when it came to Hinckley. What do I predict is going to happen? What should be happening? Call it what you want. They have a new hearing. They have a new sentencing. Credit for time served. Let them go. This is 1989. Okay? And they've done this enough. 1989. Okay? They've been, 35 years, whatever it is. They've been in jail enough. That's it. They don't pose a threat to anybody. They kill their fair. Of course, it was gruesome. Shotgun murders technically are. What would you prefer, poisoning? If it was less gruesome, would that make any difference? Now, what really pisses me off the most is that, and this is, the DA of LA is only considering it now because, of course, there's going to be, elections coming up and everything. And because of a stupid movie. Because of Netflix. Because now we're talking about it because of a movie? That's why? Not the law, not the facts, not the case? And do I believe these? I believe there is, if everything that I'm hearing is true, which is, of course, and unless you're in the trial, but half of the time, most of the good information, the good data, the good evidence, you don't hear. But I believe it, from what I'm hearing. Unless this is the biggest con job of all times. Unless these two idiots thought, we're going to kill these people to get the money and we're going to concoct some story about being sexually abused. And no. Is he a monster? Yes. Does he deserve to be killed? No. I'm not going to go that far. Because a lot of people go through this and they don't necessarily do this. The bottom line is simply this. Our system does not take into account that there are extenuating circumstances and behaviors that let people off the hook because they snap. And they snap because of the systematic torture that they've been put through, whether it's people in POW camps. They were POWs. They were prisoners of the Menendez War, so to speak. It can happen. Now, there are sometimes people do. They don't really necessarily exhaust all the opportunities available for escape, and they don't fall into this category. But I'm telling you right now, they're going to be let out, Credit for time served. See you later. Be done. And learn a lesson from this. When you abuse people, when you hurt people, it's like a dog or an animal that you keep hitting and whipping. One day that dog turns on you. Now, there are some kids who do terrible things that they've never been victimized. I understand that. But in this case, I think if you look at the circumstances, if you look at the totality of the circumstances, and if you look under the conditions, under the terms and levels of presentation of the facts, I think you would be hard-pressed to come up with any other conclusion than the fact that this father, for sure, and maybe the negligent mother, were monsters. And is it that he got what he's getting, or he got what he deserved? I'll let you decide that. But the Menendez brothers, they serve no actual purpose. There's no good reason for them to be locked up. None. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Go after real criminals that hurt other people. Victims who were not themselves victims. Hurt people. You're going to be hearing that a lot lately. All right, dear friends, do me a favor. Subscribe to Lionel Legal. Subscribe to Lionel Legal, number one. Number two, make sure you put your thoughts and comments below. Comment, of course. Like the video. Hit that little bell so that you're notified of live streams and new videos. And whatever you do, I beg, beseech, implore, and import you to comment as you see fit.